Well, Bears fans, the Velus Jones Jr. experiment is officially over. Welcome into Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham, back for video number 3 of the day. Been a busy day. I was in the car running some errands on my way to pick up my son, take him to get a haircut. I went and got a haircut, and I got hit with the notification that the Bears are waiving Velus Jones Jr. and releasing Khari Blasingame. We'll talk about Blasingame in a little bit because that's obviously news as well, but I think the bulk of this conversation is about and should be about Velus Jones Jr., the 2022 third-round pick. Ryan Poles and the Bears deciding to move on here, and the reason is they had to free up some roster spots. I mean, they were going to have to cut somebody. 3 players are available to return: Larry Borom, Travis Homer, and Jacob Martin. With these 2 cuts, 2 of those 3 I would expect to be activated for Sunday. But to just talk about Velus and the end of this experiment, it just didn't work. And sometimes that happens, right? When they took him in the 3rd round a couple of years ago, I remember when they drafted him, I don't even think I knew how to pronounce his first name. Yeah, I said Velus at first. I don't even know. Then I looked into more. I was like, okay, he's a low 4.3 speed guy, excellent returner in college, especially kickoff returner. You know, gadget guy that if you can get him the ball in space, he can make big plays. You had Justin Fields, a guy who played with a lot of speedsters in college. Like, they tried to hit a home run. And sometimes when you try to hit a home run, especially a round or 2 earlier than you probably should, you strike out. And the Bears clearly struck out here with Velus Jones Jr. And I wasn't optimistic about him coming into this year. I thought he was underwhelming, especially last year. His rookie year, it was kind of like, okay, you figured out he's not a punt returner. You still saw a couple of pops as a gadget guy. Okay, let's see if he can find a role in year 2. And in year 2, other than a couple plays here and there, he didn't improve as a receiver. With the old kickoff, he wasn't getting many returns, so his value just wasn't there. Well, the new kickoff rule and the switch to running back, which he looked, pretty exciting at in the preseason, kind of gave him new life. And he kind of ran with that in the preseason. Obviously, as a kick returner, when he catches the ball, he's dynamic, and so he made the team. I thought he earned a roster spot for a guy I didn't really have expectations for coming into this year. And what does he do? Well, the first game of the year, the first time he has a chance to return a kickoff, he's trying to catch it, goes straight through his arms, ricochets off his legs so far that the Titans recover it, which with the new kickoff is basically impossible because the kickoff and receiving team can't even move until the ball is touched by the receiving team. So it had to go like 25 yards for that to even be possible. And of course it did. And he's been a healthy scratch since then. So going into the bye week, I truly did feel like I was like, okay, they're either going to give him one last chance after the bye and he'll be active against Washington. Like, I actually thought that could happen. Or this would happen where his last chance was in week 1 against Tennessee. They've been doing well without him. They just can't trust him because that type of play and that type of mistake against a quality team can be the difference in winning and losing. You got lucky that you were facing Will Levis in week 1 and he was a train wreck. If that happened in the Rams game that you won by 6, that probably cost you the game. We saw him cost you multiple games his rookie year. The Washington game, the Giants game, I don't want to say it cost you, but it eliminated any chance of winning that game. I think they were down 8 when he muffed that punt late in the game. He just, for as exciting as he was in the few plays when he did catch the ball, whether it was on offense or special teams, he just made way too many mistakes for a guy who didn't get like a high volume of opportunities. I think eventually you just kind of have to cut your losses, and I think that's what the Bears are doing here. And look, I've already seen it on Bears Twitter. I've had the thought. I'm sure you guys will in the comments as well. We all watched Hard Knocks. If you didn't, the last episode, it was revealed, didn't say which team, didn't say what the offer was, but one team was interested in trading for Velus Jones at the end of roster cuts. And the Bears were so excited about the preseason he had. And I can't really blame him because it's like, okay, we've been waiting to see something. And he showed some consistency in the preseason. And so they didn't trade him. And again, week one, he just blows it completely. Just it blows up. And I think from that point forward, they were like, we can't trust this player anymore. We've given him more than 1, 2, 3 chances. Like, when you're a roster bubble guy like that, you can't make catastrophic mistakes. And he did it time and time again throughout his Bears tenure. So I wish him well. I do think there's a chance he'll get claimed off waivers. He's a dynamic player with the ball in his hands. I mean, if you're Carolina, right? If you're the Patriots, why not? Why not take a swing on a guy who runs in the low 4.3s and in theory can give you snaps at multiple positions and in theory can be a kickoff returner? I just think the Bears, and we saw this too at Hard Knocks at the end of it when they were looking at the whiteboard and trying to make some tough cuts. Like, it's about winning now. It's year 3 of this. If you were 2-4, 1-5 or whatever, yeah, keep them on the team, give them another chance. You're trying to make the playoffs. And you can't trust Velus Jones. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So it's a bummer for him. It's a bummer for everyone involved, but I think it's the right move because a guy like Travis Homer is a reliable special teams player. Jacob Martin's a guy who can help you as a pass rusher. So it is what it is. It's the end of the road, and the Bears finally decided to move on. We'll talk about Khari Blasingame here in just a moment, but first, let's get a word in from our sponsor. Shout out to Turtle Beach for sponsoring today's show. Turtle Beach is the #1 brand in gaming headsets and accessories. I'm rocking my Turtle Beach tonight on our post-game show, and it picks up audio so clearly. I always use these headsets when I'm playing video games. And I got to be honest, you're basically cheating when you use Turtle Beach headsets. Get 10% off with code chat at turtlebeach.com/chat. And I recommend you get their all new Gen 3 Stealth 600 headset, as it is the best gaming headset out there. You'll hear every footstep, every reload, every enemy sneaking up on you as if they were in your living room. Turtle Beach gives you a leg up against the competition in the gaming world. And more than that, just gives you the best overall experience. Maybe you're like me, you like to play a lot of sports games, Madden, College Football 25. You hear the broadcast, the crowd noises. It's like you're actually at the big game. It's just an awesome experience. And best part about Turtle Beach headsets, they are extraordinarily comfortable. So once again, get 10% off with code chat at turtlebeach.com/chat. That's code chat at turtlebeach.com/chat. That link and promo code are in the comments and description of this video. Check out Turtle Beach. Get started today. Okay, let's talk about the other cut, Khari Blasingame release. And I've kind of been talking about this one for weeks. Not because I dislike Khari or anything like that. It's just Shane Waldron in Seattle didn't have a fullback. He utilized tight ends at fullback. And he's been a healthy scratch for the most part as a fullback. So why is he on the 53? Well, I think it was just a matter of once some of these short-term IR guys got healthy, he would be cut. And that is what's happened here. He played in the last game against Jacksonville, but that was due to some other injuries. They've been putting Komet at fullback, Mercedes Lewis, Gerald Everett. Like, if Blasingame isn't getting snaps there, that he basically has no value. Sure, he can play a couple special teams unit, but you can get value elsewhere. So I think this one was pretty easy. Like, I remember saying like a month ago, like, once Ryan Bates or any of these guys can come back, Blasingame feels like the first cut to happen. And that has happened now. Maybe you bring him back on the practice squad as just a depth veteran that if you need someone in a pinch to call up, you can. But the Bears, they run formations with a fullback, the fullback position, but they're just utilizing their tight ends there, and they're getting more value out of that. So it's kind of stealing a roster spot. So I don't think this is a quality of play issue from Khari Blasingame. This is just a personnel issue that the Bears have decided they don't need a guy who's purely just a fullback to take up a roster spot anymore. So Khari hits the road. Hopefully he lands somewhere. I do think for teams who utilize an actual fullback, he's one of the better ones in the league, but there's just not many of those left. And that's the unfortunate reality. So Khari Blasingame hits the road. Again, we'll see tomorrow. Adam Schefter, by the way, added this note with Velus that the Bears are planning on waiving him on Saturday. So is that the classic, hey, we're not going to officially cut him till tomorrow, so if you want to throw us a 7th-round pick and beat waivers, come call us for Velus? Maybe. I'm not sure. or maybe it's just one of those where they decided after the 3 o'clock Central deadline. And so they can't do it till tomorrow anyway. But yeah, it's the end of the road for Velus. I think it's probably the end of the road for Khari as well. If a bunch of guys got hurt, you could always call him back. I don't know if a team's gonna call and sign him up, so we'll have to wait and see in that regard. But 2 guys hit the road, and now we wait to see who they activate, because I would assume you don't make this move on Friday unless you're activating 2 of these players for Sunday. I would be pretty confident one of those players is Jacob Martin, who had his 21-day practice window opened 2 weeks ago. So you're kind of nearing the end of that deadline. So I think he'll be activated. And then we'll see if it's Borom or Homer. I would guess Homer, since you're cutting Velus, who in theory is one of your special teams guys when he's activated, and running back depth. But maybe it's Larry Borom. Who knows? But yeah, I would imagine 2 of these 3 players are activated. And then when Ryan Bates is ready to go, which they could open his practice window next week, another cut's probably coming. So maybe the Bears are hoping they'll be able to trade off a piece or 2. Nate Davis, maybe Larry Borom is someone they trade. Dominique Robinson. But yeah, they're making moves. And listen, when you build a deep roster, these are the type of things that happen. So don't view it as a negative. View it as a positive that they're having to make these calls. Be sure to subscribe and join us. We will be live for a Bears versus Commanders live watch party on Sunday at 2 o'clock Central Time here on Chicago Bears Now. Myself, producer Colin, be ready to rock and roll and get you ready for that game. So go ahead and lock us in. Want to just re-hit a couple of the news items from earlier, then we'll get out of here. Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon both out. Already been ruled out. Gordon with the hamstring, Brisker with the concussion. Brisker tweeted out, "I'll be back better than ever." So wishing the best for him. He's had multiple concussions. Obviously a scary situation there. With Gordon with the hammy, soft tissue, not quite ready to return. Obviously Jaden Daniels is been the center of discussion this week. He is a game time decision. Practiced in a limited capacity today. Said he feels better, feels good, has a couple of hurdles to jump through still to play Sunday. Says he wants to play, but quote, "It's not my decision." So sounds like it's going to be a medical team call. And look, they're looking at this at a 10, 12, 15-year thing plus the rest of this season, not just a 1-week headliner against Caleb Williams. So certainly understand if Washington holds him out. Sucks from an entertainment standpoint. We all want to see Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels, but I would give it about a 35% chance. I know they're saying game time questionable. I would say it's less than 50-50. Not practicing much this week. Way Dan Quinn and Jaden talked today, but they're going to give it the next 48 hours and see how it goes. All right, there you have it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Velus Jones hits the road. I do think he'll get another shot somewhere, so I'm curious to see where that ends up being. Probably one of these bottom feeder teams that, this point in the year just takes a swing on a guy. Why not? My name is Harrison Graham. We'll have a mailbag episode tomorrow. If any more breaking news drops, we'll have a video as well, so hit that subscribe button. Until then, bear down.